Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you for that. This is amazing. I've been doing what I do for 10 years now. I speak at a lot of different places. I say this every time I do one of these, and I mean it. These are my absolute favorite events that I get to talk at. All right? There are actually a few reasons for that. I'll tell you 3 of them. All right? First things first. The Falcons crew that puts this together, some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. Right? I have worked with several other NFL teams. Nobody else is doing the amount of work that they do for their city. That is a fact. Right? Number 2, moms are the absolute best. Right? So I just became a parent for the second time about 6 months ago. I know everything that you do for your families, you are truly rock stars. I believe that. Right? Number 3, I've been through a lot of different stages in my life. Okay, I've gotten to a point where this is about the only time that I have this many lovely ladies that want to pay attention to me. I'm soaking these things in. All right. Thank y'all for hanging out. So as Brian just told you, my name is also Brian. I am with the Taylor Hooton Foundation. We are going to talk about performance-enhancing substances tonight, which is really just a fancy way of me saying we're going to talk about stuff like supplements and steroids. That's where we're going to live for a little bit, right? Now, I also understand when you walk through that door, you probably didn't think you'd be hearing about stuff like that. But let's think about what we're doing right now. We are talking about safety issues in the sport of football, right? A lot of important stuff. Concussions, equipment, all important things we need to discuss. Here's the thing about safety. You know this as well as I do. You're a parent. Safety is a 24/7 job, right? You're not just worried about your kids when they're tackling each other, right? We're always worried about our kids. And here's the thing about football. Football comes with a lot of pressure, right? Now, I'm gonna be honest. The older your kids start to get, the more that pressure is gonna start to center around getting bigger and getting faster and getting stronger. They are going to feel that. If I'm going to be honest, they're probably going to get told that at some point in their life. I feel pretty comfortable saying that, right? Because I heard it a lot. In fact, I want to do this, all right? I'm going to invite you to take a good look at this body real quick. All right? I don't know why we're laughing. All right? Let's also not think too hard about it. That's not why we're here. Here's why I'm inviting you to do that, okay? Imagine what this looked like when I was in high school, right? When I was in high school, I was as tall as I am now. I was 6'6" by the time I was about 16 years old, right? I'm not a big guy. I never have been, right? But I'm bigger now than I was then. When I was in high school, I could have jumped out of a swimming pool. I probably weighed 180 pounds, right? 6'6", $180, that's a tall, skinny kid, right? Now, I also was an athlete. My sport of choice was basketball, although I think when you're 6'6" or 16, that's not a choice. That's just what you play, right? I played varsity basketball in a pretty big high school in Oconee County, Georgia, about an hour away from here, right? At the time, that was a 5A school, right? We went up against a lot of other big schools, and me being as tall as I was, I had to play down low. And the problem with that was, when I played the other schools, guys were 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds bigger than I was, right? So I was told the exact same thing. Brian, get bigger, Brian, get stronger, and nobody helped me on how to actually do that, right? So that day is coming if it's not here already. And so I am doing that to help you navigate your kids through that, right? I am hoping by me and you having a conversation right now, that will lead to you having a conversation with your kid when you think that time is right. That is the end goal. That's why I do this every single day, right? Now here's the other reason why I do this every single day. I told you at the very beginning, with the Taylor Hooton Foundation, right? It's not a random name. I did not pull that name out of a hat. I want to tell you how we came about. Because you might be looking at me and thinking, like, why me? Why do I care about this? Why am I the dude, right? It all goes back to the story of my friend Taylor. So I'm going to tell you Taylor's story just straight up, face to face, real quick. By the time I'm done, hopefully you'll understand why I care about this so much, right? Best way I can tell you Taylor's story is to go back in time just a little bit. We're going to go back to 2003. That's really when all of this got started with him. At that time, Taylor was also an athlete, right? He was a 16-year-old high school baseball player, right? Playing on his JV team as a sophomore. Now, the thing about Taylor in baseball is Taylor took it really seriously. I mean, Taylor was just a high achiever type kid. He loved the sport, but if I'm going to be honest, he wanted to make a career out of that if he possibly could. Problem was his uncle had made the pros. He saw it happen. His brother was playing in college. That path was right there in front of him. He had the example. He was pretty dead set on, I'm going to do the same exact thing, whatever it takes. So imagine this. As a sophomore, he wrapped up practice one day with his JV coach, and he pulled his coach aside and he said, look, I'm gonna make varsity next year when I'm a junior. That is my goal, all right? How do I do that? What do I need to work on? How do I get better at baseball? Now, the conversation with coach was pretty short, pretty similar to what I heard growing up. Taylor, put on some weight, as much as you can, that'll help. Number 2, hit the gym, lift some weights. You get as big as you can and as strong as you can. I really like your chances. Problem with that was, Taylor didn't have a lot of resources on how to get that done. Nobody really helped him out. Also, had never had an education on the stuff we're talking about tonight. So the first thing that he did, talk to his buddies. And he said, guys, look, coach told me to do this, all right? I imagine you've heard the same. How are you getting it done? I'll tell you how. Half the guys he was playing ball with were already using anabolic steroids, a ton of them. Took Taylor maybe a week to do the same exact thing. Buddies told him exactly who to go buy it from. Basically taught him how to do it. Taylor went out, bought a couple kinds of steroids, used them like crazy for about 6 months. Let's fast forward you down the road. Taylor's dealing with a lot of side effects, all right? Physical, but it's really starting to get bad right here, psychologically. It's actually getting so bad that he wants to quit. It's working, just not worth it anymore. So he got home from school one day and he sat down with his mom and he said, Mom, look, I'm doing this, I want to stop, but I need some help. Now, Mom had never had a conversation like we're having right now. She didn't know what to do. Her gut call was, let's go to the doctor. That's the right call. That doctor, I'm just assuming, also never had a conversation like this because that doctor told Taylor to quit everything that he was taking that day. That's the worst thing you can ever tell somebody that's taking this stuff. That sent Taylor straight into withdrawal. That withdrawal led straight to a depression. I'm gonna be honest. 6 weeks from the day he had quit using this stuff, had gotten so bad, he got home from school one day, went up into his bedroom, grabbed a couple belts, and took his own life. So if you look at me and you wonder like why I care, why I do this every day, why I'm hanging out with you, it's because we lost somebody because of this stuff. I am gonna make sure that doesn't happen to anybody that I talk to, and that includes every single one of your families that's in this room right now. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for that. Now look, if they would let me, I would talk for another hour on this stuff, all right? I'm already told I got 10 minutes. You're about to get a highlight version of this. I'm gonna go fast, all right? Here's how I'm gonna tackle this topic with you. I'm gonna talk about 2 things real quick. Supplements first, because all your kids are gonna do it. If they're not already, let's talk about it. Then we'll wrap it up with steroids. I start with supplements, okay? And the reason I start here, insanely popular. You know what I mean when I say that word? Exactly what's in your mind, all right? Everything at GNC down the street. Protein, creatine, pre-workouts, vitamins, energy drinks. Sum it up like this: powders, pills, bars, and shakes, right? Incredibly popular, especially in the world of athletics. I've got millions and millions of kids using this stuff, right? And at the end of the day, I'm okay with that. I'm not against supplements. You're not gonna find me protesting outside of GNC on the weekends. That's not how I spend my free time, all right? I'm not against people doing that, but I do want people to get a little bit smarter about it and be careful if they're gonna do it. And here's why I care about that. All the stuff that we're talking about, powders, pills, bars, and shakes, man, there's very little regulation on this stuff. And here's what I mean. There is no required testing. When these companies make this stuff and they ship it to your house, or they send it to the store and you buy it off the shelf, there's rules that they are supposed to follow. But nobody's actually making sure that they do that. Nobody is testing that powder before it goes to your house, right? And so what we have here, it's an honor system, no doubt. When you buy a supplement, you just trusted that company that they're following the rules. Now, most of them will do that. Here's the problem. $43 billion industry last time I checked. A lot of people competing for your dollars, right? So some of them are gonna cheat the system to make their products work better, right? This is a fact. If you go supplement shopping tomorrow, right, especially if you're looking at high-risk stuff, weight gain being one of them, about 20% of the stuff that you could legally buy tonight and hand over to your kid already has some kind of banned substance or illegal drug inside of it, and it's probably not going to be listed on the label, right? I say that because when I was younger, I took every supplement you can imagine, and I walked into health food stores assuming everything was healthy or good for me and worth my money. I would love to tell you that's true. Unfortunately, it's not the system that we got, right? So if we're gonna take this stuff at a bare minimum, we gotta know what we're buying. We gotta know what we're taking, right? So I'm gonna give you a solution to help do that moving forward, all right? There's a group out there called NSF. They do a lot of stuff, but one of the things that they do is they actually test supplements, independently certify supplements. They have a website. If you have the notepad, I don't know if you got one on the way in, it's a handy thing to write down. It is nsfsports.com, or if you got a smartphone, they got an app that will not cost you a dime, all right? Just search NSF, the letters, all right? If you download that app, everything you see listed has been tested, all right? It is what it says that it is. So if it's me, and my son is asking me for whey protein for the week, that's okay. I'm gonna take 2 minutes out of my day, I'm gonna make sure I buy something off of that list, because at least I know what it is, right? One of the ways that we get smarter about this moving forward, okay? I don't think we need a lot of supplements. If that's going to be happening, I understand, I've been there. That's a bare minimum step we can take. If you got more questions about supplements and stuff that you might be seeing going on at your house, we'll tackle those a little bit later, all right? I wanna try to wrap up with steroids real quick. We're gonna do a few things. The first thing, what is it? There's two kinds of steroids in the world, right? If you're sick, you go to the doctor, you got bronchitis, right? You got asthma, they give you steroids. Those are corticosteroids. You know what those do? They reduce swelling, okay? Inhalers do not help with your bench press. That's not how it works, right? When I say the word steroids, I'm shorthanding it. I'm talking about anabolic steroids, muscle building, sex characteristics kind of steroids, all right? These are drugs developed for legitimate reasons. Nowadays people take it, get bigger, stronger, faster. There's a problem. They work. Don't ever tell your kids, hey, don't take steroids, they don't work. You are lying. They are very powerful and effective drugs. Now they come at a cost, all right? But they work because they basically mimic testosterone. You know what testosterone is, right? It's the reason I'm 6'6" with a deep voice and hair in funny places, right? Like, it's what develops all of your kids. Takes us through puberty. These are drugs designed to do the same exact thing. So actually, if you want to have a conversation with your kid about this and explain what steroids are, steroids equals testosterone. There you go, right? Now, where's this stuff coming from? A lot of people, when they hear the word steroids, they think of pro athletes. Maybe you think of a doctor's office, pharmacy, stuff like that. Most people that get involved with steroids, especially at a young age, you know what they're finding? Black market, underground, street steroids. It's no different than everything else out there, right? Most steroids sitting here in our country, they don't even start here. I see most raw materials getting made overseas, right? Here's the problem. I see a lot come in from somewhere like China. So China's making basically synthetic testosterone, and they're shipping it to drug dealers here in the States. Now let's just say, all right, for example, I'm a drug dealer, okay? I'm not. That'd be a really bad conflict of interest with what I do for a living, right? Let's say that I am. I get a huge shipment of powder showing up on my front porch. Next step, I gotta find a way to make this stuff injectable, usable. You know what works best? Any kind of oil, right? Problem is, I'm trying to make as much money as I can, right? I'm gonna find the cheap stuff. I'm gonna get cooking oil or Armor All. I've seen stories, crazy stuff. Horse urine is one I've seen that's pretty wild. It's thick and oily. If you felt it, I don't know why, all right? But it's also probably cheap. And by the time I get that stuff and I mix it up and I throw it in a vial, it's gonna look legit. It's gonna look exactly like what comes out of a pharmacy. It's probably not. That stuff, it's easy to find, and it's affordable. And if you want me to prove it to you, I'll do it, all right? Next time you go home, all right, pull up Google, I don't care, whatever you use. Type in buy steroids online. Unless you're on a work computer, please don't do that. I'm not trying to get you fired tonight, all right? Click on some of the pages, you'll get millions of hits. It'll be very obvious what they're doing. You're selling these drugs. You type in your credit card information, they're gonna ship it straight to your house in an unmarked cardboard box. I don't really care where you live, how big your school is, how big your town is. If you've got money and you've got a mailbox, you can get anything that we're talking about, all right? This is why I'm down to about 1 out of every 14 kids that I talk to now have tried steroids. It's out there, super easy to find. Last point, side effects. For you all as parents, basically warning signs. Here's what can happen if your students get involved with this stuff, all right? First thing you'll never see. These drugs make your muscles bigger and thicker. That's what a lot of them do. Problem with that, one muscle you can't live without, right here. Your heart gets bigger and thicker, that's a horrible thing, right? It's gonna get to the point where it gets really hard to pump blood in and out of it. You're about 12 times more likely to have a heart attack, and you'll never see it coming. That's number one. What you will see, You'll see a lot of oily skin, acne all over the body, a lot of jaundiced skin, that's common, a lot of changes in hair patterns, all right? Bad breath will creep on, it's hard to get rid of. You will see changes in the body. I told you these are effective. You will see that. You will probably see some kind of psychological change. These drugs are essentially hormones. I don't know how they'll make you feel. You'll notice that they are feeling different, all right? If you want a full list of side effects, check out our website. It's taylorhooton.org, all O's, all right? I invite you to look through that, right? If you see 3, 4, 5 of these things going on, let's have a conversation. If you see a 16-year-old with acne, you got a teenager, all right? Let's be smart. If you see it, it's time to have that talk. And that's really how I want to leave this, all right? I know when I talk, I sound scary, all right? Even when I hear myself, I'm like, man, I'm scaring these poor moms. And I'm really not trying to. I am trying to get this topic discussed more, all right? I want this education out there. I would have paid a lot of money for my mom or my coach or my parents sit me down and tell me about this stuff. It never happens, right? I'm trying to change that. So when that time is right, that's all I'm gonna ask you to do. Have an open and honest conversation with your kids about this stuff, and at the end of the day, tell them they can achieve their goals the right way. You're gonna sound cheesy. If they don't hear it, they don't believe it, right? You need an example? Tell them that they can grow up and they can look like this all naturally. All right? It's achievable for anybody that wants it. That is all that I got as far as content. Am I out of time? Should I do questions later? All right. Good thing. I'm here all night. I'm hard to get rid of, okay? So I'm gonna be out here as y'all are running around in the field, all that kind of good stuff. If you got questions, please come find me. If not, thank you for the time. I really do appreciate it.